Matamu tu.
We're back with Matamu too. Woo-hoo. Yeah, I hope you've been enjoying these bonus episodes. And on this final bonus for this season, I have a guest. Karibu sana Stella.
Yay!
Ebu just tell us a little bit about yourself. Kidogo tu. Gusia.
Hello. My name is Stella Nasambu. I am a global journalist.
Hey, so fancy. Hey, say it again.
I'm a global journalist or a global storyteller, if you like. Yes, and I like to tell stories about people and power structures and how both sides of the power structure affect each other. So fun times.
This one is a fancy one. This one is a
super fancy one. Super fancy.
And Stella will tell us a little bit more about global journalism a bit later on in the episode. But for right now, Stella suggested the topic that we're going to tackle for this episode, and it's a really good one. So let's talk about sandwiches.
Yes.
And to do so, we need to first start by defining what is a sandwich.
All right.
According to Wikipedia, a sandwich is a food that typically consists of vegetables, sliced cheese or meat placed in, on, or between slices of meat. Wait, slices of bread. Did I say slices of meat?
That was a bit much.
Placed in, on, or between slices of bread, or more generally, any dish where bread serves as the container or the wrapper for another food type, right?
Definitely.
Now, the sandwich is named after its supposed inventor, John Montague, the fourth Earl of Sandwich in the 18th century. The Wall Street Journal has described it as Britain's biggest contribution to gastronomy.
Thank you.
And as much as the nomenclature came from Britain, different versions of what could be regarded as a sandwich have existed across the world through the ages. You have your banh mi's in Vietnam, you have your po' boys in Louisiana, your Philly cheesesteaks, you have other types of sandwiches that have been there. You know, it didn't just start with the British. Actually, I was reading somewhere that a naturalist in the 17th century observed in the Netherlands that in taverns they had hung dried meat that they would slice thin and put on buttered bread. So the sandwiches were there, even in the 17th century. Sandwiches were there.
So we have the Scandinavians to say thank you to.
Not really.
These are the random.
Bora people were making bread. They were making sandwiches. Let's be honest. Because even in Ethiopia, with the teff and the injera, right? Like there's a way that you can make your injera and like have it as a sandwich. Sure. So like sandwiches have been there. They've been there
since the dawn of man.
Since the agrarian revolution when wheat started to go around everywhere. Sandwiches have been there. But now here comes the controversy. Now, based on that definition that we made, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Absolutely not.
A hot dog is a sandwich. Okay. Is a burger a sandwich?
I feel like it is. I think it's more a shape dimension thing, because when you think about sandwich, and this is where people get into fights about whether it should be cut in a triangular manner or it should be cut in a rectangular manner. So like I think visual cues are important, and when you shout sandwich in the middle of nowhere, people will tell you it is a square or a round or a baguette looking kind of thing, and then the meat is always in the middle, like to the side, like that.
But does the shape of the bread dictate? You're saying the shape of the bread dictates whether it is a sandwich or not?
No. The positioning of the bread on top of the meat is what determines.
So is an open-faced sandwich a sandwich?
It's a sandwich. You got me. Maybe a hot dog is a sandwich. Oh my gosh.
So in the 21st century, there's been a considerable debate over whether what is the precise definition of a sandwich, right? And specifically whether a hot dog or an open sandwich could be categorized as such. In the United States, the U.S. Department of Agriculture uses the definition of at least 35% cooked meat and no more than 50% bread for a closed sandwich, and at least 50% cooked meat for open sandwiches.
Anyway, we have mathematics.
Mathematics.
What is happening?
But then now, based on that, and let me bring it into an African context. I don't know if you've heard of something called bani chow. You've heard of the bani chow, right? So is bani chow a sandwich?
I think it is.
Okay, for those who don't know what a bunny chow is, it's a very South African dish. It's extremely South African.
Very.
Where they take a quarter of a loaf of unsliced white bread. Let's make that distinction. It has to be a white bread. And then they excavate the interior of this white bread and put in a curry. Usually it would be like a dal, sambal, or something like a curry. Put it in there, and then now whatever you have excavated serves as the lid of the the dish.
It's a full loaf sandwich.
It's okay. Traditionally, it was a quarter. It was a quarter of a loaf. But now because mukati imeanza kwa kitoko, it ended up being a full loaf because that's what could fit. And being holding on to that definition that we made of the food, the bread serves as a container. Then bunny chow is a sandwich.
It is. I feel like it is a sandwich.
But most people would be like, no, it's bunny chow. It's not a sandwich. But see, you put the whatever you excavated, you put it on top. So like the food is between.
We said slices of bread.
Pieces of bread.
That's what we said. We said pieces of bread. It's working. It's a sandwich.
It's so interesting. So what usually goes on your bread as a first layer when you're making a sandwich?
Let us toast it first.
I said first layer. I didn't say what do you do to your bread.
Let's toast it. What do I put on my bread first? It's either going to, depending on what the other ingredients are, it's definitely either going to be a mustard, or if I'm feeling very fancy, it will be a tahini. One or the other.
Hey, this one is too fancy for me. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. It's way too fancy.
Elevate your sandwiches, people. We're not animals. Come on.
No, well, for me, like the day that Niliomoka. The day that Niliomoka, for my non-Kenyan listeners, the day that I was elevated, is the day when I realized that mayo works better as a first layer than butter or margarine or whatever, right?
Yes.
And how Niliomoka, how I was elevated, was that I think it was a French recipe for something I was looking at, because that's a very French thing to do with mayo. And they were like, yeah, so slather the mayo on. I was like, oh my God, calories. Calories.
No. Believe in good. He's a calorie burner.
So...
Calorie burner.
Oh my gosh. Maka not wanted to say I was gone. So I literally I was following the recipe. I slathered on some mayo and then just put the bread mayo side down on a hot pan, let it fry up until it got crisp brown, and then I'll put on my cheese, my meat, my veggies, then because I've done both sides of the bread, then I'll put the bread on the other side. And I was like, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good.
And I love that. I'm going to try that out myself, because I feel like people who don't know that end up giving you like really sloppy sandwiches.
Yes.
People who are giving you sloppy sandwiches hate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't.
I agree.
You don't need that negativity in your life.
But then the trick is, if you want to do that, you have to use real mayo. You can't do it with
Pulupand.
vegan mayo.
What is vegan mayo?
Say egg free.
Yuck.
No, it kind of works.
Does
kind
it?
of.
Does it?
Kind of.
It's okay.
But yeah, use real mayo, please. And then now my other question there is, what is a sandwich that you'll never forget ever?
A sandwich that I will never forget. It was the humble egg sandwich, elevated times 1,000.
Interesting.
And it was made by one Joshua Obaga. Please follow him on Instagram. He's on Joshua Obaga.
Shout out Josh! Woohoo!
He's an inspired home cook. And what I love about him is that he experiments all the time. And he's the one who actually put me on like good condiments and bread that is actually bread for a sandwich, not Wonder Bread, please.
Did he introduce you to his sourdough starter?
He really did, though. I'm obsessed. I tried it myself and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna wait for him to make it.
It's so good.
So he it was a very throwaway sandwich, but that sandwich lives in my dreams. I dream about it annually. It was that good.
It was that good.
It was that good. So
Okay.
he started me off with like a sour bread
Uh-huh.
that he toasted, and then he put on what do you call it? He put on some mayo,
Uh-huh.
very slight, very thin film of mayo, and then he slapped tahini on top of that. I think I'm hoping I'm remembering this well. and then there was some red cabbage, and there was some rocket, and there was, I believe it was bacon. I'm gonna say bacon. And then there was an egg fried sunny side up.
I like how you're trying to remember all the layers.
Yes, because it was so good. It was so good. And also I don't want to be talking about a sandwich that he never made. He might call me later and be like, excuse me.
What is this? What is this you're talking about?
You are casting aspersions upon my sandwich making skills.
So there was an egg.
And then I thought, because this is who I am as a person, I was like, oh, I should add one more condiment. And I think that's where our friendship almost broke down into pieces. Because I was like, you know what would be great if I put ketchup in here? Yeah. He threw me out of his kitchen. He was like, get out.
I've choked on his behalf. Josh, I understand.
Get out.
I totally understand. Ketchup.
But thank God he tackled me and threw that bottle away, because that was a very...
Ketchup.
I know. That was a very good sandwich. Yeah, and I almost forgot. And pickles, which he made himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Homemade pickles.
I think I now have to call Josh and get that specific recipe from him.
Please.
Because
I'm all over the place with this memory.
okay, I'll call Josh and we'll get that recipe and put it in the show notes so that, dear listener, you can actually get a chance to try this elevated egg sandwich. I think you probably enjoy it. A weird sandwich I've seen being made it's called a chip butty. Yeah, even the name, right? So it's called a chip butty. It's a very popular sandwich in England, right? And what they do is that they take two pieces of bread, they butter them, and then they toast the bread a bit, and then now they put fresh chips.
What?
Chips.
Wait, what?
But it'll be a thick cut chips. It will not be, it's not Sanford style.
Wait, let's not trash Sanford.
No. Sanford is dead now, but like.
Oh God!
Literally, they it burnt down.
I know.
But so not Sanford style, thinnish, oblong, like thick cut wedge, like thick cut, like really nice looking chips, and then they put them in between the slices of bread, and that's a sandwich. And I was like, what is this? What is this? Carbs upon carbs. What is this?
I love it. But
it kind of makes sense. Kind of, because
no condiments.
No.
What's going on?
Wait, you can do the whole ketchup or mayo thing on top, right? But like the purists will just put it together and eat it like that. It kind of makes sense. You know why? Because you have crisp, soft, and then the reverse on the other side.
All I heard was starch, more starch,
No.
more starch.
It's carbs upon carbs. We love it. We love it. Carb loading. Yep. We live for that. But like it kind of. But then it was so weird for me, and I was shook. The whole way. I was like, what? How is that a sandwich?
I need to try
How?
that.
And interestingly enough, in South Africa they have a version of that. It's called the Gatsby.
What is happening? What is happening to the culinary world?
It's called the Gatsby, and it was made by a shop owner who was trying to feed the people who were renovating his shop. So what he did is that he just took a baguette, not a roll, a baguette, cut it in half, put some chips in there, put some achar in there as well, and cut it in four and gave it to the people who were working, and they loved it, and so they started calling it the Gatsby.
So
because this is 1970, I think 6, and the Great Gatsby movie, the first one, was in studio. So somebody was like, "Oh, that's a real Gatsby," and yeah. So anyway,
I love that.
What's a weird sandwich you've seen being made?
So I had a friend from Japan come to visit, and it was the first time in my life I was actually meeting her because we'd been pen pals since we were like babies.
Aww.
And
That's interesting.
she was very excited to make me the sandwich.
Okay.
And so so we didn't have like any bread in the house, but we had rolls. She's like, "This will do." I'm like, "Okay." And she goes about making spaghetti, like spaghetti, and then she makes it, finishes it, puts sauce on it, sauces it, and then takes that whole thing and puts it inside the roll. And I was like, why?
Why?
And she was like, this is famous in Japan, apparently.
I don't understand.
Yep, apparently. They have a spaghetti sandwich in Japan, and people love that stuff.
What?
I was very confused.
How?
It kind of low-key slapped, though. You know, once I stopped side-eyeing it, I was like, I think...
No, but... Huh?
I know! That's the same look I had on my face. I was like, because when I saw her, like, cut up the roll...
Yes.
And, like... You know, and do the little toasty toast and put it up, you know, and put it up on the what do you call it, on the sideboard. I was like, oh,
okay.
sandwich.
Sandwich.
Then I saw spaghetti being taken out. Spaghetti being taken out of the kitchen. I was like, what is happening? She's like, no, don't worry about it. I was like, oh my God, girl, I'm already worried. I don't know what we're doing. But it slapped.
I'm at a lack of words. I'm at a lack of words.
That was a very strange sandwich, but it slapped. So...
Okay. I guess if it's popular somewhere, it's like, what the heck?
So yeah, Aiko, if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah, you touched a life, clearly.
Really
Clearly.
changed my life.
So now it's time for guest questions. Woo! Have you ever been in a situation where a sandwich came to your aid?
A sandwich came to my aid.
Yes, probably an awkward situation that was diffused because of a sandwich, maybe.
Ooh, okay. So, no offense to Scandinavians, but hey, my God, please keep your fish sandwiches away from me. So I gone over to a friend's house, and we were having a house party, and we were meeting his friends from other parts of the world.
Okay, that sounds like a fun time.
So it was like a mini UN in there, and guys were very aggressively nationalistic. National pride was palpable in that house. And so because I couldn't do, I mean, we don't have an African sandwich. We don't have a Kenyan sandwich to speak of. So everybody...
Well, we do the thing where you do like... I'm about to trauma. You do like
hide the J-Things.
you do a mandazi and then you put in a samosa, right? Is that a sandwich?
Is that a sandwich?
It's bread.
No, wait.
And it's a container. Sorry, I'm detracting from your story. Please go back to your story.
So at the party there were guys from everywhere, and there was this guy from, I will just say a Scandinavian country because I do not want to
certain
start a
Scandinavian
war.
country. We love you all though.
And he was hellbent on showing me how they make sandwiches, where it comes from. What he forgot to say was that there was going to be pickled fish involved.
Oh wow.
And so, if you know me, you know that me and pickled fish are not friends. Anything that has an extremely pungent smell and me are not friends.
But pickled herring. I already know which Scandinavian country, and we love you all.
We still love you. Please don't kill me. And so I didn't know that because that was my first time eating that sandwich. And if you know me, I have obvious facial expressions for everything. And as soon as, so he was like, oh, he handed it to me, and as soon as it was within olfactory distance, I was dead. Sirs and madams, I was like, my whole face contorted. I was literally the epitome of yuck. I was like, nope. No. And I think thank God, everybody was like, it was like, show your sandwich, show and tell for sandwiches. And this fantastic young lady of Cuban descent saved my life
Cubano.
by literally dragging that other sandwich out of my hands and placing a Cubano into my hand. I was like, thank you, Jesus. And she did it so sweetly and diplomatically. She was like, oh my God, maybe Stella is allergic to fish. I was like, yes, I'm allergic.
Yes.
Yeah, to fish.
Quickly, yes.
Yes, please. Yo.
Oh man, that was awkward. I'm so sorry.
It was super awkward.
So what's been your go-to pandemic recipe? And it doesn't have to be sandwich related.
Pandemic.
Yes. What have you been eating during this pandemonium?
I have been really doing all of the ramens, all of the versions of ramens
Interesting.
ever made. Like, I think I went, I kind of, so I looked at YouTube. The internet is terrible. It is a black hole.
Yes. You get lost and you stay there.
Sucks up your life. And so, yeah, I've been following this very nice, very nice, talkative lady of Korean descent who has been trying to teach us to make every single thing you can think of. But I've been stuck, and she puts up playlists. She has a whole entire playlist of just ramens.
Okay.
All of the ramens you can think of.
All of them.
And I was like, listen, first of all, I am lazy.
One,
and I am the most basic of basic cooks.
Two.
As we eat to survive and fuel.
Guy,
why? We don't understand these things.
Why? You have to enjoy the food, man.
Listen, everybody has been given their gift by the gods.
That is true.
Are you going to quarrel with the gods?
No. It's not in your place.
So yeah.
It's not in your place.
I mean, at least I have elevated from burning down the kitchen to actually making food that I can eat. And so... So yeah, so I've just been scrolling. I tried making at least twice every month or 3 times every month. I'll be like, new recipe, and try it out.
Okay.
So I've kind of fallen into a trap of, I think now I've become very good at telling what kind of broths are being used. And then so now I've started ordering out to compare to mine. I'm like, I know I'm a bad cook, but let's figure out what's in this broth. So it's been interesting. It's been a very interesting journey.
Okay. It seems like for this pandemonium, it's been most people have been actually doing some form of ramen.
Yeah. Definitely. I've seen that.
It's very interesting.
I've seen that everywhere.
Of course, and the banana breads, but those ones are.
That I think you can kind of historically or chronologically go through the pandemonium through food.
Yeah.
At the beginning, at the height, we were all banana breads.
And then then Dalgona coffee came around.
Oh my God, Dalgona! People obsessed. And then we just tapered off into a different groups.
Things, yeah. So anyway, now this is the time you can tell us about you, what you've been up to, what you're getting up to, etc.
So I'm a journalist, as I told you. I'm a
global journalist.
I am a global
Zina
journalist. Yeah. So before, I kind of got into this side of things accidentally. Actually, it was like I quit a 9-year stint in marketing. It's like, I'm gonna be a journalist.
Okay.
And so far it's been 3 years, very exciting 3 years.
Okay, that's nice. At least it's been exciting.
Yes.
At least.
I think the most exciting thing has been learning to work during a pandemic.
Yes.
And I don't think that I will ever have a repeat performance of this.
Absolutely.
Never. It will never
Absolutely.
happen. And it's been very interesting trying to put content together without the help of like studio and lights and makeup and all of these things, all these ingredients that help you bring a story to life.
Okay.
And I think I've been challenged to think out of the literal box.
Like box.
Like,
there, you
this
here.
is a building. Box, your desk. They're like, okay, go home. Go home and figure out what you're going to make for the next 1 year.
That must have been quite a challenge.
It was, but it was godsend actually, I think, because now, before it was sort of you kind of knew what was happening the next day. But I think my favorite thing in the world is waking up and not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, and sort of like throwing myself into the flow and just going with it. That's been very, very interesting for me as a person.
That's quite philosophical. Quite philosophical. Good job. You're doing well.
Thank you.
So, Stella will share with us her. She keeps on not saying that she's kind of a low-key Twitter celebrity, and she will share with us her hurdles, and we're going to put them in the show notes so you can go and follow Stella and see what she's getting up to as a global journalist and all the other good things that she usually gets into. And that's it for this bonus episode of Matamu 2 podcast. I've been your host, Rumak, and thanks, Stella, for coming through.
Thanks for having me. This has been fun.
I am happy to hear you've enjoyed yourself. Season 3 is coming, guys. Don't worry. It'll come when it comes. I'm still trying to figure myself out. But in between there, please go to the YouTube channel. You can search Matamu 2 on YouTube and you can watch all the episodes that we had. It's fantastic. And, you can actually go on to our anchor.fm /Matamu-2. That is Matamu-TU. And you can actually rate Matamu. Please give me 5 stars. Thank you. You're the best. Okay, guys. Have fun.
Bye-bye.